What is going on, trainers? DrumVillain here, bringing you some more Pokemon Go PvP content, and today we're taking a look at another Ultra League team. I thought I was done with talking about Ultra League at this point. I figured I was going to start focusing on Love Cup and the Master League ready for you guys, but I couldn't help but bring you guys this set of battles from this trainer, Doom Nukem, who we featured on the channel a few times before, and they managed to hit Legend rank using Giratina in the Open Ultra League. And one of the main reasons Giratina is so interesting this time around is because, I even said it myself in my first Ultra League video this time around, was that nobody's running Giratina because everyone's afraid of running into Walrein. So there's a lot of Talonflames around, there's a lot of water types to counter Talonflames around at the minute, and Giratina's got a lot of play in those situations as long as it's not the ice types like Lapras and Walrein. And actually, Giratina's got a decent amount of play against Lapras. It can put some serious work in, especially if they're not running Ice Beam. And not only are they running Giratina, they're actually running Dragon Breath Giratina, and this makes a lot of sense to me. There's a lot of dark types running around in the Open Ultra League at the minute. There's a lot of Drapions, a lot of Skuntanks, a lot of Obstagoons and Scrafties, and Dragon Breath Giratina has a lot of play against those dark types because the Dragon Breath damage is relentless, it adds up pretty quick over time, and Giratina is so bulky that it can put a fair amount of work in against those what would normally be quite hard counters. So if you guys are new here, consider hitting the subscribe button. It's free. Dragon Claw the like button, and let's just jump into some battles. So I've got two matchups to show you guys against a good and a bad lead situation to break down how the team works, and then the full set of battles in which Doom Nukem reaches Legend rank. So if you're looking to be inspired, this might be the team for you. Okay, so jumping into the first matchup, and we've got a Talonflame lead into Swampert. This is pretty bad for Doom. They're going to swap straight out into Giratina. And it's interesting in this meta using Giratina as a safe swap because there aren't loads of Charmers running around in the Ultra League, and it's interesting to gamble that they won't have a Charmer in the back because if they do have a Fairy, the Dragon Breath Giratina gets absolutely shut down hard, but it actually pulls out a Melmetal, which isn't the worst matchup for Giratina. Even Dragon Breath Giratina can often force a shield in this situation, especially with a slight energy lead, because Melmetal is just depending on Rock Slides to put the majority of its damage out, and as you can see, they don't hit that hard, and the main thing in Melmetal's favour here is that it's resisting that Dragon Breath damage. Another Rock Slide coming through, this will not KO the Giratina. It might put it close to Thunder Shock downrange, which isn't ideal, but this Shadow Sneak is going to take switch advantage if it doesn't actually pull a shield. The Melmetal is going to choose to shield. Can they make it to another Dragon Claw before? No, they get farmed down just before they get the Dragon Claw off. That is unfortunate. And Doom's going to choose to bring in Cresselia here. This Melmetal is absolutely loaded. The Rock Slides do massive damage to Talonflame. Better off taking a Hydro Cannon than you are a Rock Slide from a Melmetal on Talonflame. It's double super effective. Would absolutely smash Talonflame to pieces. So just going to absorb all that energy. And they're going to swap out into Swampert, which is an absolutely crazy play by this opponent. They let the Grass Knot through. Hits like an absolute truck. So unless they've got another water type in the back, this seems like an unusual play from the opponent. The Swampert's going to get farmed down. This Cresselia's still got some energy to spare now. What is the opponent going to bring in? They're going to bring in a Venusaur. So why on earth they brought Swampert out into the Cresselia, I have no idea. Maybe they were thinking that the Cresselia was running Future Sight rather than Grass Knot. They did have to make a pretty big choice there because Future Sight would almost one-shot the Venusaur, Grass Knot would almost one-shot the Swampert, so using the Melmetal to farm down and get an energy lead, it's actually been a huge advantage for Doom in this game, and I don't think Talonflame has to shield this. It might just survive. It is the Sludge Bomb. No, it doesn't quite KO. This Flame Charge is going to take out the Venusaur, and that Melmetal has nowhere near enough health left at this point to deal with all that Cresselia, so Doom's going to be taking a pretty comfortable win here against a Swampert lead and losing switch advantage. It's a great showcase of the potential of this team. So from that matchup, we can see that the lineup is Talonflame lead, Cresselia and Giratina in the back. It is Legacy Cresselia with Grass Knot, and obviously Legacy Talonflame with Incinerate. So jumping into the next matchup, and they pull a Cresselia lead. This is a pretty solid lead for this team. Everything on the team deals okay with Cresselia, but Talonflame is the ideal matchup unless they've got Future Sight, in which case it's going to do big damage. And this Cresselia is choosing to stay in, which is a bit of a warning sign that it might be running Future Sight. So I don't disagree with the shield here, but it is just a Moonblast. It's not a complete waste because there's going to be a lot of pressure on this Cresselia to shield this next move, because if it's the Brave Bird, it would do massive damage, but they're going to call the Flame Charge and not shield it up. So that's a pretty big call from the opponent, and they've got the Future Sight and get it through. So this is probably best case scenario for this opponent right now. But Talonflame's going to be getting another Flame Charge off, and it's still going to take switch advantage if they don't shield, which they don't, they let it go down. So Doom's going to take a shield deficit, for switch advantage. Those Incinerates did monstrous damage to the Surfetch that comes in, and Surfetch is quite spicy for the open Ultra League. I'll give it that. It does have access to Night Slash, Leaf Blade, Brave Bird, so it could hit pretty hard here. But it throws a Leaf Blade, so I'm guessing this is actually a Brave Bird Surfetch, probably to threaten things like Giratina for bigger damage, even threaten things like Talonflame for bigger damage. And I guess at this point you just don't worry about shielding, because a Brave Bird would do big damage but not enough to take out Cresselia, and these Leaf Blades are going to be threatening to take out the Surfetched as well, so they're going to have to shield if they want to get another move off, which they do. So Doom's now able to take a shield advantage from this secondary matchup, and let's just see what they've got in the back and see whether they're going to... They throw the Brave Bird, they do boom the Cresselia there, and it's a Swampert in back. So they're obviously wanting to bait out Cresselia with the Surfetched, which they've done, but in this scenario, they don't clear the path for the Swampert, because normally, once you clear the Cresselia out of the way, the Swampert is clear to sweep an endgame, especially in the current meta in Ultra League. But Giratina walls off Swampert pretty well as well. 2 Earthquakes will KO, but the Dragon Breath damage puts a lot more pressure on than Shadow Claw does. It adds up a lot faster over time, and the Dragon Claw is going to take out the Swampert. They can farm down the Surfetched and take that win. And I've seen this myself a lot in the Open Ultra League this time around, where a lot of teams are designed to kind of pull out the Cresselia if they can, and then they've got something that's normally weak to Cresselia in the back that can sweep quite hard once that Cresselia is out of the way. But the Giratina Cresselia core have a lot of combined coverage. They both cover Swampert very well. They cover things like Politoed. They cover Fighters pretty well, and that can really pay off in endgame when opponents just aren't expecting to see a Giratina. And that matchup was the end of a 5-0 set that they did take with the team, and it pushes up to 29.98, painfully close to that legend rank. That's got to sting a little bit, but also it means they only need a 3-2 to make that push up to legend in the next set. So 29.98, what are they going to be running into in the first matchup? They've got a Shadow Nidoqueen lead. Now, Shadow Nidoqueen is one of the strongest Pokemon in the Ultra League where XLs are allowed. It is disgustingly strong. The Poison Jab, Poison Fang combo wears down so many Pokemon so effectively. Look at that. First Poison Fang and the Talonflame's already down to below half health. That's absolutely nuts. Crazy pressure from Shadow Nidoqueen. The one positive thing about this situation is that because it's Shadow, there's a lot more pressure on them to shield, because these Flame Charges would do big chunks of damage. They do CMP tie, which is quite nice because you can let the Talonflame go, yeah, and now you've got 2 shield advantage, and you're just going to hope that once this Nidoqueen's out of the way, you're clear to sweep. And another good thing about Giratina in this meta is that it's resisting poison damage. There aren't many things in the Ultra meta that aren't Steel types that are resisting poison damage, but Giratina is a nice alternative to actually do quite well against Nidoqueen. They choose to swap out aggressively and give up that switch advantage into Obstagoon. And Doom's going to choose to stay in here for a little bit. They're taking these Night Slashes, they're holding on to that 2 shield advantage, and this Dragon Claw is going to put this Obstagoon into Moonblast range. So they're going to choose to swap out and start racing towards the Moonblast as fast as they can, get rid of this Obstagoon. Not going to shield again, really hanging on to the shields for the end game. They must really think they're going to need them towards the end of this match, but at some point, if they got something with an intense fast move pressure left, they might not matter at all. They've got a Scrafty in the back. This Moonblast is going to do monstrous damage now that shields are down, and you shield this up. Yeah, it's just a power-up punch. It was a very obvious bait for the opponent to go for at that point, but realistically, you can't afford to take a foul play at this point. You're getting low, you haven't got much left. But this is a pretty good situation because neither Scrafty nor Nidoqueen can fast move down that Giratina that is still alive. So there's a lot of pressure on the opponent to be throwing fast here to clear out this Cresselia, and the opponent's going to surrender. They realise they just don't have enough to get rid of both of these bulky legendaries. GG's there, and 1 win out of the probable just 3 needed to make that push up to Legend rank. What are they going to run into in matchup number 2? It's a Dragalge lead. Now this is also pretty spicy for Open Ultra, but it is a strong pick, and it's horrendous for Talonflame because they're double resisting those Incinerates, they double resist the Flame Charge. They can also comfortably survive this Brave Bird. They do get a shield though, which is nice, but also it's a CMP tie, which forces a shield out of the Talonflame. Talonflame would be able to take 1 Aqua Tail fairly comfortably, but it certainly can't when it's got the Brave Bird debuff, so good play by the opponent managing to CMP tie that move. They swap out into Giratina and they swap out into a Greedent, and Greedent would do very well at shutting down a Shadow Claw Giratina. But against a Dragon Breath Giratina, the Dragon Breaths add up. The Dragon Claws start chipping away extra as well, and there starts being a lot more pressure on this Greedent to get rid of Giratina pretty fast. And even with the defense falling, this Greedent isn't going to be able to farm down. It will still take 3 charge moves to finish off Giratina. It probably could just throw a Body Slam at this point to finish off, but this Giratina's got another Dragon Claw ready. This is going to put some serious pressure on. They've got to shield up if they want to keep switch advantage, and they've got to throw to avoid being farmed down by the Dragon Breath. This is a nice spot to be in. Talonflame can come in here, get a little bit more energy, get ready to throw another Brave Bird at the Dragalge now that it is shielded down, and it has thrown an Aqua Tail, so it's a little bit closer to being energy dry. It probably isn't quite, but they're going to make it to this Brave Bird first, and I'm assuming they're going to throw this and immediately dip to Cresselia and hope that with a shield advantage it can sweep. Big damage from the Brave Bird. They catch an Aqua Tail as well. This is all working out super well for Doom in this matchup, but it's a Ferrothorn in the back, and this could be a death sentence in this game. Ferrothorn is quite a good answer to Cresselia, especially if you've not got Future Sight. Ferrothorn does resist every move from Cresselia, but Future Sight is just a bit more energy efficient than Moonblast does bigger chunks of damage. They do get the attack drop on the Ferrothorn, which could make a big difference as this plays out, but you can see these Moonblasts are doing very little damage, not even quite doing a quarter, maybe doing 20% of Ferrothorn's health each, so realistically they need to throw 5 Moonblasts to take this thing out. They're going to swap out to Talonflame aggressively. The opponent brings in Dragalge, but it gets taken out by the Flame Charge, because the Incinerating, because it's so low. Talonflame's able to get to a Flame Charge and take out the Ferrothorn and take that win. It was great recognition by Doom to swap into the Talonflame straight after the Ferrothorn had thrown a move, so it would be the closest to energy dry it was going to get, to give them the potential to get to Flame Charge, because they still had that shield as well to shield up a possible Mirror Shot or Power Whip that might have come through. Alright, next matchup, what have they got on the lead? It's a Jellicent. This is a pretty bad situation for this team in general. Jellicent's probably the strongest Pokemon overall against this entire line. The Hex, the Shadow Balls are threatening pretty much everything. The Water typing, resisting that Incinerate and Flame Charge damage from Talonflame. They're going to choose to stay in, not shield, and go straight for a Brave Bird for a nice big chunk of damage. I respect that. And then swap straight to Cresselia, because now this Jellicent is close to being in Grass Knot range. They no shield a Shadow Ball, and they bring in a Scrafty, and Scrafty isn't the best punish to Cresselia, because one foul play probably isn't quite going to KO Cresselia from this range, and those Moonblasts are threatening for monstrous double super effective damage, so Scrafty has to shield up here. This probably is going to be the foul play. Yeah, I can't see them baiting at that point, although it would allow them to possibly get a shield and then definitely finish off the Cresselia with one foul play. But they might get farmed down here. Cresselia is getting pretty low, they do, and that's a little unfortunate, but also you're just going to bring in Talonflame here, farm down entirely, and then ideally throw a Brave Bird at this Jellicent. Foul play coming through, there's a big chunk of damage, and Scrafty gets to another move. Do you shield this, or is it just a power-up punch? They're going to choose to no shield. It's a foul play. Talonflame goes down. It's all on Giratina with one shield in this game, and no shield in that foul play might really cost Doom in this situation, because you really needed the pressure from that Brave Bird to force that shield out of this Jellicent or take it out. And now you kind of have to shield, and it's just a Bubble Beam, but it was an obvious bait because you're down to your last Pokemon, but you've still got 2 shields, and Doom certainly likes hanging on to these shields until the end game in these matchups, so the damage is probably done. They do shield a Shadow Ball here. Depends what this opponent's now got in the back, if they're going to be able to handle this Giratina or not, even though its attack has been debuffed. Jellicent gets farmed down. and it's an Alolan Ninetales, and Doom's just going to back straight out of there, wants no piece of that. Giratina with Dragon Breath cannot touch an Alolan Ninetales. It was an unfortunate situation, but without taking switch advantage, there really was not much that Doom could do there in that game. Right, another Jellicent lead. Can Doom get some redemption in this matchup against this lead? It's another Hex Jellicent, so they're going to stay in, go for the same method, don't shield the first move. It is just a Bubble Beam, just a little chunk, but not too much. Going to throw one more, they're going to throw two more Incinerates before they throw a move. Is this going to be another Bubble Beam? It is, just as another little chunk. It is starting to add up though on this Talonflame. They're still going to go straight for this Brave Bird. Do they get a shield, or is it going to do big damage? Nice chunk of damage, still below 50% health on the Jellicent, so it doesn't really matter that the Talonflame was double debuffed at that point, because one more Brave Bird or one more Grass Knot would still take out the Jellicent at that point. And they swap out to Cresselia and pull out an Alolan Muk, a Poison Jab Alolan Muk, which again, Alolan Muk's always a good answer to Cresselia, but Poison Jab struggles to put as much work in as Snarl does, because you're not spamming out those Dark Pulses as fast, and Cresselia can comfortably survive one Dark Pulse, so they have to get to two. And those Moonblasts do start really threatening over time, and they've already shielded one Dark Pulse up and therefore forced a shield back out of this Muk. Is this Moonblast going to get the second shield out of this opponent? It doesn't. It starts to get them pretty low. This Muk's going to have to throw pretty soon if they don't want to get taken out. This CMP tie on the Grass Knot, which I don't even know if Grass Knot would KO at that point. It probably would, just. But they're going to let it go down, bring in Talonflame, farm down, and they've got another Brave Bird loaded to dump into this Jellicent. Are they going to shield? Are they going to let the Jelly Boy go down? This is a much stronger position than in the last game. They do get that last shield. Swap to Giratina. What is this opponent going to do? They're going to throw a Shadow Ball or a Bubble Beam. They're calling the Bubble Beam. They don't shield it. Fantastic call, and it's a Scrafty in the back. And as you're going to see, Dragon Breath Giratina can put in a lot of work against a Scrafty, especially compared to that Shadow Claw, because this isn't resisted. Foul Play does a nice big chunk to Giratina, and one more Foul Play realistically is going to KO Giratina. But also you're going to have to put some work in here with these Dragon Claws. You've got nearly two still built up here, so spam this out, get some more chip damage, and you either want to put this, you either want to put it in Incinerate downrange, or you want to KO them, really. One or the other, depending how this opponent chooses to go, but I wouldn't shield Giratina at this point now. I would let this go. Maybe they throw a Power Up Punch, it doesn't KO. Maybe they throw a Foul Play, it does, but you've still got a shield for Talonflame to farm down and throw a Brave Bird at this Jellicent, take it out. You're no longer debuffed. This is going to do big damage, and all you need to do is survive long enough to farm down this Scrafty. You just need one Incinerate to register, it does, and they take that win. So, able to get redemption against a Jellicent lead, which, realistically looking at the team, you'd feel like you'd have almost no chance of actually managing to pull a win against a Jellicent lead, because it's got so much play against the entire team. And now they've got that much needed third win out of the set, so just the fifth matchup to play. Can they make it a solid 4-1 set to comfortably, definitely jump straight up into Legend Rank? It almost certainly would give them Legend Rank just from the 3 out of 5, but it doesn't hurt to be safe and go for the win in that fourth matchup as well. And this last opponent's got a Luxray lead, which is absolute crazy spice for the Open Ultra. It is pretty strong in the Ultra League, Luxray, with the Community Day move Psychic Fangs, but it's just not one that you see being used. And you can see even those sparks are adding up against Talonflame pretty quick. They shield up a Psychic Fangs, which I understand. It definitely could have been a wild charge, and then they might have swapped out to a pivot against Talonflame. But maybe this Luxray is here just to catch Talonflame. They could be double weak to it in the back. These Incinerates are doing big damage over time as well. Luxray is pretty squishy, it looks like, for the Ultra League. I haven't actually built one myself yet, but I might consider it for future seasons, who knows. And they're going to pivot out to Cresselia after getting both shields out of the Luxray. They pull out an Alolan Muk, and again the same situation we saw last game, where these Moonblasts are going to put a fair bit of pressure on this Muk over time, because they're not going to be spamming out the Dark Pulses quite as quickly as they would if they had a Snarl. Second Moonblast coming through, and the Muk hasn't even thrown a move yet. I don't know if they're like just hanging on to their energy, if they're lagging a little bit, but they do throw here. And if this is a Dark Pulse, like I said, it'll do big damage but won't quite knock them out. And this Muk should make it to another Dark Pulse before Cresselia gets to, but no, Cresselia gets to the Moonblast. I don't know if this Muk has just really underestimated how fast Cresselia can get to moves, but this Moonblast is going to take out the Muk. Cresselia taking switch advantage against a shields down Alolan Muk, which isn't really how that should go, but I'm not going to complain about it. Looks are actually showing it's got Crunch and not an electric move, so it's there ready for the Psychics and the Ghosts, and they're going to bring in Giratina and start getting ahead on energy. The opponent brings in a Swampert, and it looks like it's lagging a lot. The opponent might be considering surrendering against the Giratina since they're in such a bad situation already in this game. Wouldn't surprise me, but it looks like they're struggling to get fast moves off, and it's irrelevant at this point for Doom's Legend run. It looks like they're already going to hit it with at least the 3 wins, but this is going to absolutely cement it. It's unfortunate for the opponent if they were lagging. You never like to see wins for that reason. You always want a good, fair match, but GG's to both players, and Doom's definitely going to be hitting Legend rank with the 4 out of 5, a Scraggy to show for it. I do definitely think that Giratina's got a lot of play in the current state of the meta. There are a lot of Swamperts, a lot of Drapions, a lot of Scraggies and Obstagoons, and Giratina with Dragon Breath has play against all of them, puts a lot of pressure on. It's super bulky, and there aren't honestly that many Charmers or Walreins in Open Ultra League, at least up around the Legend rank, and what I've been seeing and what obviously Doom's been seeing here as well, for this team to have such good success. So thanks to Doom for the battles, thank you to you guys for watching this far. Good luck tomorrow with Go Battle Day if you're planning on grinding hard for possibly Legend rank or to reach your goals for the season. So Dragon Claw the like button. If you're already subscribed to the channel, you're an absolute legend, and I will catch all you guys next time.